Last night, a Supreme Court courtroom became the stage for an emotional showdown as Chief Justice John Roberts slapped Representative Jasmine Crockett with a $200,000 fine, only to be left in tears by her shocking reply. A confrontation that stunned onlookers and sent social media into a frenzy. What started as a high-stakes case with Crockett defending a fictional legal dispute tied to her advocacy quickly escalated into a dramatic clash that would have lasting consequences. Before we dive into the explosive details of this unraveling, drop a comment about where you're watching from and hit subscribe for more jaw-dropping stories like this. Crockett, the Texas congresswoman known for her fiery rhetoric and fierce advocacy, entered the courtroom with unshakable resolve. She was ready to argue her case with deep moral conviction, but Roberts wasn't in the mood for speeches. Opening with a sharp rebuke, he addressed Crockett directly. "Ms. Crockett, you're a politician, not a lawyer. Why test this court?" The question, heavy with authority, hit hard. Insiders say the tension was palpable, with some in the gallery whispering and others bracing for what came next. Crockett stood tall. "I'm both, Chief Justice. I fight for justice," she shot back, her voice unwavering. The tension quickly ignited. Roberts cited a violation in Crockett's legal argument tied to a fictional ethics dispute. "This is your defense? It's reckless," he stated firmly, adding, "You've crossed a line." With that, he imposed the $200,000 fine for contempt. "Fee?" Gallery gasped, murmurs rippling through the room as some discreetly filmed the exchange. Crockett's eyes flashed. "Reckless. I fight for truth, Chief Justice. You'll hear me," she retorted, her voice steady and defiant. The room was split. Some nodded in agreement, others tensed. Court officers, sensing the tension escalating, watched closely as the proceedings veered into uncharted territory. The chamber hummed with Crockett's passion, but Roberts's gavel loomed large. The moment that would define the night was approaching. Crockett leaned in, her voice rising. "You don't get my fight, Chief Justice. I'm here for the people, not your rules." Roberts struck back, his tone cold and unforgiving. "People? You're here for chaos, Miss Crockett." "I'll prove it," Crockett shot back, her resolve hardening as the gallery stirred. Some shouted, others leaned in, and the intensity reached new heights. The confrontation had become raw, with Crockett's passion continuing to clash with Roberts's authority. The tension was thick in the air. And then, the moment everyone had been waiting for. Roberts, his judicial authority unwavering, doubled down on the $200,000 fine. "Your defiance is contempt, Ms. Crockett. This fine stands," he declared, his voice dripping with authority. The crowd reacted instantly, gasps, murmurs, and Crockett's eyes blazing with fury. "Contempt? I'm fighting for justice, Chief Justice. My heart's in this," she retorted, her voice fierce and unwavering. The onlookers were stirred, some nodding in agreement, others tense with anticipation. Roberts pressed harder. "Justice, you're a politician, Miss Crockett, not a scholar," he challenged. Crockett's voice rose in defiance. "Scholar? I carry the people's pain, Chief Justice. I'm ready," she responded boldly, her words cutting through the tension. The gallery shifted. Some clapped, others watched in awe, while court officers whispered urgently among themselves. The proceedings were no longer orderly. The clash had taken on an electric intensity, with Crockett's conviction pushing Roberts further. "You're out of line, Miss Crockett. I'll uphold order," Roberts snapped, his rebuke piercing and personal. That only fueled Crockett's fire. Sources say she leaned forward, resolute. "Order? I'm fighting for the voiceless, Chief Justice." What started as a legal argument had transformed into an emotional battleground, with Crockett's unwavering passion challenging the very core of Roberts's authority. The courtroom had become a spectacle, and it was clear that this was far from over. "I'll shake this court," Crockett declared, her tone steady yet brimming with emotion. Chief Justice Roberts struck back, undeterred. "Shake it? You're a..." Headline, "Miss Crockett, not a lawyer. Pay the fine," he snapped, pointing at his gavel. The gallery split wide open. Some murmured that she had soul, while others gasped, phones filming the scene as the tension surged. Crockett stood tall, her words now spreading across the internet. One post quickly racked up likes, capturing the essence of her fierce defiance as the clash grew even fiercer. Roberts' authority was under fire as the courtroom pulsed with raw energy. Sources say Crockett's hands clenched, her resolve hardening. "I'll pay with truth, Chief Justice." "You'll feel my fight," she retorted, her voice trembling with passion. Roberts countered sharply. "Truth. You're a performer, Miss Crockett, not a litigator." His words were harsh but strained. The gallery reacted loudly, some roaring in approval, while others whispered in disbelief. Court officers signaled to maintain control, but Crockett pressed on, her voice rising. "Performer? I'm their voice, Chief Justice. You're learning," she shot back, her resolve soaring. Insiders noted that she was building toward something monumental. The night was heading toward an emotional peak, with Roberts' fine faltering under the weight of her defiance. Then the courtroom erupted into an emotional crucible. Crockett's fiery passion pushed her to reject Roberts' $200,000 fine, turning the tense confrontation into an emotional display of conviction. The gallery was electrified, and Roberts' once immovable authority began to waver. Crockett's fervent vow rang out, "I'm their voice, you're learning." This moment, now viral, followed Crockett's defiant refusal to back down, inching closer to a response that would leave Roberts in tears. Roberts, his tone thunderous, doubled down on his ruling. "Performer, Miss Crockett, your passions are reckless. This fine is justice." His voice dripped with contempt as he cited further violations tied to her fictional ethics dispute. The gallery reacted sharply. Some gasped, others murmured, and Crockett's eyes glistened with determination. "Reckless? I carry their struggles, Chief Justice. My fight is real." Crockett shot back, her voice raw and powerful, referencing her constituents' hardships with stunning clarity. The onlookers surged, murmurs clashing with claps as court officers kept a close watch, their hands twitching as the emotions soared. The Chief Justice pressed harder. "Real? You're disruptive, Miss Crockett. You're no match for this court." He jabbed, his words cutting deep. "Disruptive? I'm their heartbeat, Chief Justice. I'm turning this tide," Crockett retorted, her words bold and filled with emotion. The gallery split into a frenzy, some shouting, "Go Jasmine," while others discreetly filmed the exchange, and the internet exploded with posts about her fiery resolve. Roberts' jaw tightened, but Crockett wasn't done. "Turning? You're a provocateur, Miss Crockett. I'll enforce order," he fired back, his rebuke faltering as the audience roared. Some murmured that she was too strong, while others pleaded that Roberts was the Chief Justice. What turned this clash into a wildfire wasn't just the passion, it was Crockett's unshakable conviction. Insiders say she stood taller, her voice commanding. "I'm fighting for fairness, Chief Justice. You'll hear my truth," she declared. Roberts countered, his tone strained. "Truth? You're a politician, Miss Crockett. Your words won't sway this court." The gallery surged once more, some clapping, others shouting as clips spread like wildfire. Crockett's fire continued to trend online, with one post gaining rapid shares as she responded with powerful clarity. "Words, my heart speaks." "Chief Justice, brace yourself," she said, her voice steady and unyielding. The chamber ignited with raw emotion, the tension thick in the air. Sources report officers frantically signaling to maintain order as Crockett pressed on. "Your fine is cold, Chief Justice. My fight is alive," she declared, her hands gesturing, voice breaking with raw sincerity. Roberts interjected, his voice faltering. "Alive? You're overreaching, Miss Crockett. You're done." The gallery erupted. Some tossed papers, others live-streamed the moment as the emotional battle reached its peak. While Crockett stood firm, her resolve peaking, she shot back, "Done? I'm just starting, Chief Justice." Insiders watched, noting that she was breaking Roberts. The night was heading toward a breathtaking, tear-jerking climax. Roberts' authority was beginning to crack. A Supreme Court courtroom hit its emotional zenith last night as Representative Jasmine Crockett, the fiery Texas Congresswoman, delivered a stunning, heart-wrenching reply to Chief Justice John Roberts' $200,000 fine. What began as a heated confrontation quickly transformed into a soul-stirring moment, leaving the gallery in stunned silence and Roberts visibly trembling, his face betraying his emotions. The internet exploded in reaction. Sources say Crockett's fervent vow, "Done? I'm just starting," after rejecting the fine, culminated in a raw personal plea that shattered Roberts' stern facade. It was a moment poised to define the viral spectacle of the night, a raw triumph that would leave an indelible mark on everyone in the courtroom. With her voice breaking under the weight of emotion, Crockett delivered a devastating blow. Cold. "Fine, Chief Justice. My fights for families broken by injustice, their tears outweigh your gavel." Her words were raw, gripping, and powerful as she shared a vivid story of her constituents' struggles, tying it back to the fictional ethics dispute at hand. The gallery reacted strongly. Some sobbed, others gasped in shock, while Roberts' steely expression softened. "Families? You're a politician, Miss Crockett, not their savior," Roberts retorted, his voice faltering. The onlookers surged, murmurs clashing with cheers as court officers watched in stillness, their hands frozen in the charged atmosphere. Roberts pressed harder. "Savior? You're disruptive, Miss Crockett. This court demands order." His words were desperate and personal, but Crockett leaned in, undeterred. "Order? I carry their pain, Chief Justice. You can't find my heart," she shot back, her voice trembling, eyes glistening with emotion. The gallery roared in response, some chanting, "Jasmine! Jasmine!" while others whispered, "She's got him." Phones buzzed with live updates, the internet ablaze with posts. One headline read, "Crockett breaks Roberts," quickly trending. Roberts' voice cracked as he tried to hold his ground. "Heart, you're overstepping, Miss Crockett. You're done," he stammered, his tone now unsteady. The audience erupted, some shouting, "She's winning," while others murmured about Roberts' authority as the tide began to shift. The clash broke wide, open, with insiders noting that Crockett was now fully standing in her power. "Done? My people's suffering fuels me, Chief Justice. Hear their voices," she declared, her voice soaring with conviction. As she recounted the systemic hardships of her constituents, her words became a poignant manifesto, striking Roberts deeply. His eyes began to well with emotion, visibly shaken. "Voices? You're defiant, Miss Crockett," Roberts muttered, his voice barely audible, his control slipping. The gallery surged again, some standing, filming, others sobbing. Clips of the exchange flooded the internet, instantly going viral. Crockett, her plea unwavering, pressed forward. "Defiant? I'm their truth, Chief Justice. Feel it." Her conviction was undeniable, filling the courtroom with an electric charge. What set Roberts' tears in motion, sources report, was his vulnerability in that moment. As he gripped the bench, his voice mixed with awe and emotion, brimming with tears. "Truth? You're a force, Miss Crockett. But this court stands," Roberts said, his tone shaking as he tried to maintain his authority. But Crockett's words hit harder. "I'm their hope, Chief Justice. My fight's bigger than your fine," she replied, the final blow. The gallery erupted. Some rushed the barriers, others chanted, "Jasmine's truth." Roberts wiped his eyes, his voice trembling as he whispered, "Your points are made." The clash was over. Sources inside the courtroom reported, "She broke him." The night culminated in an emotional resolution that left the courtroom electrified. Crockett's heartfelt reply, "I'm their hope," cemented her stunning triumph over Roberts, forever capturing this moment in the annals of history. Crockett's unwavering stance left Roberts visibly shaken, his voice cracking as he whispered, "Your points are made," his concession echoing through the tense courtroom. The gallery exploded in chaos, court officers scrambling to maintain control. The internet was poised to ignite as the fallout from this extraordinary showdown began to unfold. Sources say Crockett's emotional manifesto, linking her fight to the suffering of the people, marked the zenith of her conviction, with Roberts's tearful reaction resounding, marking a dramatic turn in the night's events. Her reply had sealed the spectacle, transforming the courtroom into a blazing, emotional crucible. Crockett stood firm, her resolve radiant, her voice steady and powerful as she declared, "I'm their hope, Chief Justice." As she clasped her notes, her words became a beacon of passion that reverberated throughout the chamber. Meanwhile, Roberts, tears brimming, wiped his eyes as his voice cracked in acknowledgement. "The court acknowledges your voice," his tone low, choked with emotion. The gallery erupted. Some sobbed, chanting, "Jasmine, Jasmine," while others gasped, stunned by the raw intensity of the moment. Crockett's presence shone brightly under the chamber lights as the crowd lost all control. Insiders report that some surged toward the barriers, phones flashing to capture the moment, while others wept openly, shouting, "She's their voice." A few stood in awe, while Roberts wiped his eyes, overwhelmed by emotion. The room had become a symphony of feeling, with court staff stunned, radios buzzing in disbelief. "She broke him," one insider whispered, as the live feed captured the tear-streaked bench where Roberts sat, a powerful testament to Crockett's impact. What made this moment even more extraordinary wasn't just the tears, but the sheer raw power of Crockett's words. Sources say her final plea, "My fight's bigger than your fine," echoed through the room, a call to action that could not be ignored. As the gallery roared in approval, Roberts bowed his head in defeat, his pause sparking murmurs throughout the room. Clips of his tearful reaction quickly went viral, with one post reading, "Crockett's truth wins." It was an unstoppable force, as her passionate stand racked up shares, and her image flooded screens across the world. Millions watched as Crockett's conviction turned the tide, sealing her place in history. The moment became a defining crown of her advocacy, and the fallout rippled beyond the chamber. Crockett's stunning reply had lit a firestorm, igniting a global conversation about justice, conviction, and the power of standing up for what's right. The clash between her and Roberts had shaken the very foundation of the courtroom, turning a legal battle into a defining saga that would be etched in public lore. Afterward, Crockett's post-victory presence was nothing short of iconic. Sources report she exited the courtroom with a radiant resolve, whispering to her aides, "I spoke for them," as they guided her past the swarm of reporters. Meanwhile, her tweet, "The people's voice won't be fined," quickly racked up over 400,000 likes, flooding with replies and further solidifying her place in the hearts of millions. The internet buzzed with the aftermath, declaring Crockett a legend, and analysts observed, she flipped the courtroom. Her victory was more than just a legal win. It was a triumph of the people, a moment of raw emotion that set the stage for a new chapter in justice, and the world was watching. Roberts quickly began trending as clips of his tearful reaction to Crockett's passionate plea looped millions of times across the internet. A viral thread proclaimed, "Crockett's a legend," while memes of her triumph, captioned "He heart topples gavel," flooded TikTok and Instagram. Critics tried to downplay it, with one post arguing, "She's just grandstanding," but the tide was already turning in her favor, and her reputation soared. Roberts's camp remained reserved, sources say, as his next session unfolded with measured calm. His vulnerability remained unspoken but palpable, drawing unprecedented attention to the court. Insiders hint that Crockett's words hit him deeply, with his judicial stature softened in a way that left analysts declaring, "Crockett flipped the script." Some even whispered that Roberts's humanity shone through, his tears now tinged with respect. The gallery's sobs echoed online as Crockett's unstoppable rise became the rallying cry of millions. Her emotional edge was sharper than ever, as the internet split like a fault line. Supporters celebrated, calling her the voice of millions, unbreakable, while one post racked up shares at a rapid pace, but detractors grumbled, arguing that she's a politician, not a martyr, though their criticism fizzled. Debates raged online. Did she really break Roberts? Clips of her manifesto were dissected, with pundits calling her powerful. One commentator said, "Roberts felt her truth," while another predicted that this moment would elevate her political capital. Public support surged, her brand shining brighter than ever. Sources say Crockett's strategizing her next steps. Talk of a national speech or an advocacy push was already on the table. Her silence after the event was as loud as her words, and the triumph she claimed now felt like a crown that wasn't going anywhere. Political insiders noted that her platform now carried an emotional weight, her influence under an even brighter spotlight. The ripple effects were seismic, experts saying the judiciary was humming. Some called it a shift, with Crockett redefining passion in politics, while others argued she had shaken the system to its core. The courts now eyeballed her engagement, but if they falter, stricter decorum could risk fading into irrelevance. Public opinion was split. Half cheered her for moving a titan, while others marveled at Roberts' humanity. The clash had sparked a cultural shift, and Crockett's rise alongside Roberts' emotional vulnerability had etched the saga into viral lore. Crockett's impact stretched far beyond the courtroom. Her brand was soaring, her conviction unquestioned, and her reach amplified. Meanwhile, Roberts' stature adjusted, his gavel now tempered by this moment of human connection. But this isn't over. The fuse is lit. Crockett's next stand and Roberts' next ruling are set to ignite new flames. Stay tuned. If you're hooked on this madness, smash that subscribe button now. Don't miss the next blaze.